Welcome to the Down East Prep Report Extra. I'm Steve Goodson, and along with co-host Chris Miller, we're excited to step beyond high school athletics today and talk about semi-pro football and about some semi-pro football that's being played here in our community. And I'm telling you, it's being played at a very, very, very special level, championship level, in fact. The Carolina Kings are a veteran-owned semi-pro football organization based out of Richlands, North Carolina, here in Onslow County. Established in 2022, they've built something remarkable in a short period of time. 2 Southern Conference championships, a 2025 AFF, which stands for Atlantic Football Federation Championship, and a 2025 Sunshine Bowl 2A national title to go along with an undefeated spring season. Today, we sit down with the founder and owner of the Carolina Kings, William Johnson, and Coach Jay Harris has joined us as well to talk about how this organization came to be, what it stands for, and the legacy it's building in Eastern North Carolina. William and Coach Jay, thank you for joining us today, man.
Appreciate you guys having us. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, listen, we're going to hop right in because we got some great questions. Chris and I are just going to fire questions back and forth at you guys, and we'll go from there. Sound good?
Yes, sir. Sounds great.
All right. So, Coach, take a coach owner. I'm assuming now I say that. Are you a coach as well, or are you just sitting the press ball like Al Davis?
No, I'm a coach. I'm on the sideline.
Okay.
I'm doing whatever I need to help support the team. Like I said, I have one of 3 owners actually.
Okay.
In 2022, Akeem Collins and Drew Collins were the original owners, and my son was good friends with Drew Collins. And he come to me one day, "Hey, Dad, these guys need a coach." I coached kids all growing up all throughout my life. So I was like, you know what? These are men. I was like, I don't know, son. He goes, "Dad, come on. It's not that bad." 2022, I'm out here coaching men. Carolina Kings, inaugural season. That was great. And I got out there and realized, oh man, what did I get myself into? These are grown men. This is different, But I stuck it out. Drew and Keem, fantastic owners. Their football knowledge, is amazing. I've learned so much from them. Myself, I was always an offensive lineman, D lineman. So in the trenches, I didn't have to know as much.
You were like me, man. You were the one that you just went out there and saw somebody wearing a different jersey.
Yes.
And tackled or blocked them.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Right, that's it. Right. So, but with all that being said, we started this organization in 2022 with the idea of helping young men to give them out, give them something other than the streets or violence or something that would, cause them or someone else harm. So, and that's what we stuck to. We wanted to really do that and get it off the ground. And, it's been a great journey so far. It's been a great journey.
That is awesome.
And so you guys operate as a veteran-owned 501(c), is that right?
Yes, sir. Yes, we are a nonprofit, non-taxable. Everything that comes into the Carolina Kings, whether it's donation or player fees, is put back into the team or the community.
Mm-hmm. So how does that military DNA, how does that help shape the culture of this organization?
Well, I think both Coach Harris and I are both veterans. Mm-hmm. We both, got that, I have esprit de corps. I don't know what the Army has. But
I'm big on mass punishment. One person messed up, we all in trouble. That's what I learned from the Army. We all in trouble.
Mm-hmm. So a brotherhood, that's as sure as he would say, that's what we wanted to create. We want we want you to feel like you belong here. Our organization, the things that we do, the things that we provide, it's more than just football. The Marine Corps, when I was active, it's a brotherhood. You looked out for each other. And that's what I do with my players. Coach Harris does the same. There's so much, that our organization does. Coach Harris, he's big on education. He has sent 4 people off of our team to college.
Okay.
Playing college football. Coach Harris, I'll let you elaborate on that.
I'm a Onslow County alum. What that means, I was born here, raised here, whatever, and I graduated from Jacksonville High School. And during that time, Jacksonville was known as a black hole. I mean, if you're from Jacksonville, you're not getting out. Mm-hmm. So after I joined the military and graduated from college, I wanted to give back to my city because I've been here for 30 plus years. Mm-hmm. So I see that semi-pro was a platform that the guys that didn't go D1, like we're seeing from NC Sports page, for an opportunity to continue to play football. Because after your senior year, the home games you walk with your parents, that's some of the guys' last time playing football. And that's a sad moment because you've been doing it since the storm until now. Where
Yeah.
semi-pro gives an out platform that says, hey, you don't have to be done. You got another season or two in you. But if you're here, why not get education from it? Why not go to Coastal or go to school? And it's credit to the Tyler Johnson Foundation, the owners, where they provide a platform of a $1,500 camcorder or a $1,600 drone. So I can send film to college coaches. Maybe your high school coach didn't, or maybe you think you weren't good enough. So that's kind of what I do. I just think that Jacksonville's my city, and I got to get back to the city. And that's why I came back. Because a lot of people, like I believe you were from Jacksonville, that they don't come back. They said Jacksonville's too small.
That's
It's a
right.
big city.
No, man,
can
you're
make my
exactly
way
right.
to-
I got two kids. I got a son that's 26 and was living in Raleigh up until 2 weeks ago. Now he's in Charlotte, and I got a daughter who's an attorney that lives in New York City, man, downtown West Chelsea. So downtown. So let me ask you about that because you hit on something that I definitely want to talk about. So a lot of people hear semi-pro football and immediately wonder who these guys are, right? One, so this is probably a question here. Are most of your players local? And give us a sense of the roster and maybe mention a few names that maybe people might have known from kids playing, in recent years in high school or something like that.
All right, so majority of the coaching staff is Jacksonville High School alum. And then we also have a guy by the name of Trayvon Ellis. And Jacksonville was known as a running team, so he was a receiver who's very talented but kind of fell out the crack because they weren't throwing the ball 25, 30 times when he played. Montrell Pollock is also a Jacksonville alum.
I know Montrell. He played. He played way back when. My son and him and a couple other kids played on travel basketball teams. So
Montrell go hoop. He was saying that in Facebook.
He used to could hoop, man.
Okay.
He used to could hoop.
And then we also have guys from Dixon such as Deontay Jackson and Adam Parker, and what D-Jack graduated from college and he came back to Jacksonville. Now he has a training section and he gets back to the youth called Camp Gag, which we assist with. So he's just like me. He's coming back and giving back to the youth. Then we have Anthony Harris, was the player of the year at Havelock, one game away from the championship quarterback. He was a UT commit. Yeah, phenomenal player. He's there. We got Nate Robinson, Trey Lawson from New Bern. So it's semi-pro is, okay, rivalry's over with. Jackson White Oak's over. Dixon Richlands is over. What if we all were one team? How good can we be if we all play together for one season? And that's what 2025 season showed. Like, we're good in football in Onslow County. And this is a county that's overlooked, but we're not willing to realize like Northside was one game away from Hunt. So was Jacksonville.
Yeah.
And now we're just like the Avengers. We're all merging together into one. And that's why not only was last year a great season, but it was a dominant season.
Well, and you said Onslow County, but if you think about what you're saying, if you took the
best of
the best of the players out of Onslow County and Craven County, you mentioned the Havelock, maybe Carteret County and Duplin County. I mean, you're creating a regional football team on the semi-pro level, and you're getting the best of the best. Let me ask. I'm going to divert just a minute, and I'm going to ask you a question.
Oh,
You were a part of after you grew up and decided to become a reporter or whatever. You were a part of the Raiders. Is that kind of how the Raiders evolved? I know y'all had a lot of local players. In fact, Coach Pollock from Northside High School was on that team. So don't mean to. I kind of want to kind of do a little tie-in here.
Oh, yeah.
Talk a little bit about the Raiders and about how you guys formed and about the similarities, I guess.
and I don't know if you guys remember, but they actually started out as the Duplin Raiders.
I didn't know that, but
I did not.
I used to play for the
Duplin
Jackson
Raiders. And then they transferred with help of the Sports Commission back in 2000. Came to Jacksonville, and Charles Oates was the owner. I don't know if you guys remember him. And then, we had a squad. Greg Hampton, God rest his soul. John Davis were the coaches. Lucky Chappelle, Kendrick Pollock, aka Kool-Aid. Darren Wigfall. I mean, I'm giving some shout outs here because the guys I knew, Inky Pollock and Motorcycle Mike. We had squad back then, and I think when it first started, I think the guys, you're right, they put aside those rivalries, Jacksonville, White Oak, and everything. They put aside those rivalries and kind of played for each other. And because everybody kind of felt like they were written off, and everybody kind of played for each other. So is that kind of how you guys?
Absolutely. Like I said, we want everybody. I said we even have players from Virginia that travel in to play with us. So again, like I said, it's not just about one person, one area, but like you said, imagine if all the players would come together in one area, how powerful this area would be. There is so much talent. I'm sure you guys remember Sinister Finister.
Yep.
So he played for us one season. Phenomenal athlete. He is now in the Marine Corps. I just saw him in Hawaii 2 weeks ago. So great gentleman. Our head coach, our staff, the offensive coordinator from last year. His game plan, the amount that he's done, absolutely amazing. 2-1. Coach Marcus, as some people call him.
He used to play for the Raiders.
He used to play for the Raiders, and that's how he became the head coach for the Kings. He started playing. He played middle linebacker. He played center, wherever we needed him to play. Again, he's like, I'm just here to help the team. And it blossomed from there, and he became the head coach. And between, his football knowledge, Coach Bobby and Coach Harris, it flourished. The young men, they bought into the system. We always tell them, buy into it, trust the process, and these young men actually trusted it. And, some semi-pro teams, you look at it and people just think it's problematic, fights, this, that. The Carolina Kings, we hold our men to a higher standard. If you mess up, I suspend you. It's nothing personal. It's business. At the end of the day, you have to hold yourself and your team accountable. And that starts at the top, and unfortunately, I suspended a player from playing in the national game. Some incidents happened and I didn't want to, but I had to stick to my guns. I had to stick to our policy. So, and there's no guarantee that we will get back to another national championship game. But at the end of the day, that player came back and plays for our team now and has grown, beyond my expectations. Yeah. Phenomenal.
So let me ask you this, and then we'll get back on schedule. I kind of messed up. So how important is it for you guys to give these local athletes, especially guys whose football careers, like you said, at the end of high school or college may have come to an end, how important for you is it that these guys have a place to keep competing?
Like I'm a mental health therapist and football is an outlet. And you mentioned Coach Hampton. I remember when I was 17 years old, I thought it was a punishment because he used to pull me aside and he used to draw offense. It was the same play but different formation. And like it was a track meet. So I was like, Coach, this is football related. But Coach Hampton was a mentor of mine growing up. And I always thought it was a punishment. But as I'm 40 years old now, I was like, he took the time out of his day to teach me. So now our job is to give that knowledge back.
Yes.
But 2024, when y'all were doing it, 2000, early 2000s, now, like, we know we're older, but everything's like social media, picture taking driven now. So now the guys have a platform to say, hey, I get it. I just graduated from Jackson, but I'm not done playing, where I can show like, hey, my mom and dad can still go to my games and I can still get associates from Coastal, then transfer to a school like UNC or NC State though.
Absolutely.
So I was given the knowledge from, and you mentioned Coach Davis. I don't know if you know his story right now, but we had the pleasure of having Coach Davis go to our award ceremony last year. It was I had to go through his wife, but for him to be there, the legacy of the Raiders and give back to the Kings in 2025, 26.
Amazing.
It was just an amazing. It was a lot of, you had to twist his wife's arm and I appreciate it. Hopefully she's not watching, but it was just an awesome experience though. She did check in a lot and I appreciate it, but like they gave back to myself. So I want to give back to a younger generation. And it's awesome because I'm 40 years old now and I feel old, but I have a player that's now coaching at high school. And now I'm developing a coaching tree. And I was like, well, I'm old, but I'm not that old to like, you know what I mean? Like
you're just paying it forward, man.
Yeah,
right.
I'm like, I'm not that old yet.
And Coach Hampton and Coach Davis, you talk about double trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, and I do want to ask you guys, Coach, and Coach, you talked about you're 40 years old. You have a mixture of young guys, but I'm sure you have some guys that are still trying to, in their 30s and even 40s that that still think they can ball.
Boy, yes.
I was talking to this guy named Tilly, and he's involved in Dixon. You probably hear son a lot. He's gonna be a terrific player this year.
Mm-hmm.
Tilly's like, Coach, I'm 41. Tilly's older than me, and I looked at him and was like, it was no football related. I was like, I gotta get in better shape. I'm like, man, what am I doing right now? I'm just looking at him like he's still playing, but it is difficult because when I first started, there was a bunch of guys younger than me, but I didn't use my power. I'm going to work hard, and they're going to respect that though, and they see that from it, and then they start trusting me though. But yeah, it was difficult, and us being in military, like it was, dude, you said whatever. There was no, we're going to discuss it. This is what you're told.
Absolutely.
And now it's like a debate and stuff with the younger generations because there is a gap now. And we understand like having kids, and I have like step kids where it's like you tell them what to do. Like growing up, it was, I'm going to do what mama said. Now and it's girls. Now we're having a discussion of why she's trying to, like, she's my lawyer. Like, I think you're grounded, but I don't think so. I don't
know. So you guys have your home games at Richlands, right?
Yes, sir.
At Sneed's, at Sneed's Park.
Yes, sir.
So talk about that, gentleman, and what is it? Yeah, had that work out, and how proud are you to call that that area your home stadium, your home field?
Oh, very much so. Like I said, that's where it all started for me. My son started on the Carolina Recon. That was the first team he played for, and I went out to see a couple games there, and after we started the Carolina Kings, I wanted to originally play at Richlands High School, which I'm still working on that. Eventually, like I said, through my community efforts and everything, I'm hoping that I will get a chance eventually, like I said. And that's one thing that semi-pro has done in the area. It makes it hard, But like I tell people, all I need is one chance, and I'll show you there's a difference. With that being said, Richlands, small community, great community. I grew up there. My kids went to school there. And I wanted to give something back to the Richlands area that they could call their own, other than just the high school and the Wildcats. When someone says Richlands, oh yeah, the Carolina Kings, aren't they from Richlands? Absolutely. I want Richlands to know you have a national championship team. We do community events. My players volunteer for Mr. Green. He has a football camp there at Trexler. Players go out. We volunteer with that. DB, linemen, they go out, help them out. All about giving back to the kids. I've donated to Trexler Middle School's wrestling team, bought them hats and given them monetary things just so they can be able to function and do what they have to do, because not every kid can afford to buy certain things. Not every kid can do this. So we want to make sure we give back to that community. So in the end, I'm hoping that the community will see us as a part of them.
That's great.
That was the whole thing for being at Richlands Steeds Park. It's it isn't lavish stadium. It's not the best area, but it's ours. And when people step on that field, they know this is the Carolina Kings home. So just giving them back and letting people know, Richlands, we're here for you guys.
That's awesome.
And but Steve's Park has just been awesome. We also do a flag league. We try to get back to the community called Coastal Flag Football League, and we're going to eventually do a Tyler Johnson Foundation, like a tournament, just to get back to the community though. So we're very thankful of Luis that works at Park and Rec, even too, because I'm one of 13, so I'm grateful of everything. I'm grateful you guys for me now. I'm grateful you hired me. But even the janitor, guy named Brandon, I make sure he's fed though. So we are very grateful of anyone that puts us in a place to let us play football. Because at the end of the day, that's all we want to do, just play ball.
Absolutely.
But we don't care. We go outside in the street, backyard with the generator. It don't matter.
Quick story. We one of the teams we used to play was called Central Virginia Storm, Lynchburg, Virginia, and Lynchburg, they have it's the facility where the Hillcats play baseball, the minor league team, and that was probably the best stadium because it was a whole facility. And
wow, you got to play there. Nice.
That was pretty neat. And we dressed where the Hillcats locker clubhouse, so that was pretty neat. Of course, this is 25 years ago, but that was a neat experience.
Fantastic memory, though. No, indeed.
Well, let's talk about playing ball. Spring 2025. One that ended with a 44-2 victory over the Chesapeake Bay Sharks and that AFF title. So talk about going undefeated. Well, how did that feel week by week? And was there a moment during the season, maybe it was in the playoffs, maybe it was middle part of the season, maybe it was before the season ever started, where you guys kind of looked at each other and said, hey, man, we got something really brewing here? Talk a little bit about that, man.
You go first.
I knew, yeah, because I'm going to let him get this one the most. Mine is short and sweet. I knew after the first game when those men took the field, and after the other games that the league had played, I knew my men were going to be unstoppable. Mm-hmm. There was no doubt. Watching, like I said, says the lives, little comments, some of the short clips, as any coach, you'll look at that, and you see more than just a play. You see how their linemen block, how the receivers do this. And watching some of these other teams, I knew that the Carolina Kings were going to be unstoppable. And, the fact that they had this hunger that I hadn't seen in a team before was just absolutely amazing. And, the staff we had and the talent we had, it was just – Coach Harris, I know he's got a lot to speak because he is a big key to the success.
It's players,
So,
everybody.
big key.
Well, I did want to have a question.
Yes.
How in the world you score 44 points, but you give up a safety? How did that?
Oh, my goodness.
King Conley, come on down.
So to go with the first question, with that paper that it tell you is that we lost the year before, and as offensive coordinator, like everyone has to dream of making a game-winning shot or scoring when it counts down. The ball was in my hand. We were at the 5 or 6 yard line, and something happened. We didn't score. I watched them celebrate it. I sat down. I was probably the last one to leave, and it stunk with me to the point that like I was battling my own depression, and I had to get up, and I was like, okay, this is mine. This is mine. So it became an obsession. I wanted to be great in everything. I didn't want to be the best offense. I wanted to be best defense, best coaches, best field, and everyone bought in. And because they saw me like, oh, Jay's after it this year, I'm going to be after it. So there's times where it was storming. We had a flag game and it was a hurricane. No one complains. When it's outside, everybody runs to the car. We just play. But that 290 to 28 came from the game before we did lose because we didn't put our head down. Well, I did for like a week or two. I won't. But after that moment, it would never happen again. So once it became 44-2, it was just validation of all the work we put in on last year.
Absolutely.
Because even when we're up a lot, I was like, Coach, don't say nothing to me. All gas, no brakes. It was like, they're running the clock. This 30-2. No, give me the ball. Because I had to get that out of my system. And as an offense, we did feel like we let down the team. And one hand washes the other. So, like, we needed that game. But Hakeem, we were going for 2. Called a halfback toss left. Hakeem Conley fumbled the ball, and they took it back. And I was very upset. And it still bothers me he was like, Coach, it's been a year ago. So we're going to have a 10-year reunion. You remember that one time you fumbled?
So they had a defensive 2-point conversion.
Yeah. We were going for 2. He fumbled. They picked it up, scored with it, and all that. Yeah.
So well, Coach, so y'all won the league title, the AFF, and then I guess y'all came and won the Sunshine Bowl.
The Natty.
The national championship. So what moment from that postseason kind of stands out the most?
When Coach Johnson emailed me at 1:36 in the morning, because, Natty's a selection. He's like, hey, he sends me email. We're going to Natty. Coach, it's 1:36 in the morning. Like, you know what I mean? 9 should have been sufficient, though. But the fact is like, we did it.
We did.
I think we had like a day like, oh, we're going to Natty. We're going to Natty.
It was almost a disbelief for a moment because the amount we had to, the podcast that we did, getting our name out there just to let people know, we won an opportunity to compete. And like I said, 1:30 in the morning, I sat up waiting for that email to come through. And as soon as it came through, I hit Coach Harris up. I thought, hey, we going. But, it was just an exciting moment for me because, that's something, not only that we have been, since 2022, we have been to the second round of the playoffs. Mm-hmm. We have been in the playoffs every year. Mm-hmm. Made it to the championship game in 2024, fell short. League champions, Natty champions, 2025. So progressively, we've been getting better. Mm-hmm. And as we go, that's a big goal of mine. I just want to continue to get better and just continue to make this, an outlet for guys, a safe place. Mm-hmm. But that national game, it was unforgettable. One of the hottest games I've ever played. I assure you, that turf, they said it was 120 degrees on there, and I believe it. You know, we had ice, cooling rags, we had tents, we had fans. It was, my wife and my daughter were putting cooling rags on the players. So it was an experience, but one I'll never forget because it was some of the hardest, you know, from both teams. You know, the guys went out there and they knew what they had to do. And they played. Every time they stepped on the field, it was all gas, offense and defense. Wonderful.
And we're just a small town from Eastern North Carolina, but the fact that the Natty says, "Hey, we got some dogs in Eastern North Carolina," and I'm hoping more college recruits come out here and say, "Hey, we're got some good talent out here."
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great. Now, listen, I want to shift gears, man, and I want to talk a little about someone that's very special. Your son, Tyler. So, tell us about Tyler. And tell us about his story, man.
Well, where do I start? Tyler Michael Johnson. Since the boy could walk, it's been about fishing, football, and baseball. I couldn't leave the house without him by my hip. You know, the age of 3, you know, he had his own little fishing pole and he's doing his thing, you know. He used to practice pitching out in the backyard at the age of 4. Football, you know, he'd be doing little drills out there and I'd help him out. And just a fantastic, you know, loved life all around young man. Someone you could depend on. And I like the fact that, you know, he lived his life 100% his way. You know, we butted heads quite a few times, but it was his way, you know.
Yeah.
Son, don't do that. You know how it is with your boys,
Well,
you know,
yeah.
and your kids, period. But, you know, I love the fact that, you know, he went on duck hunting trips. You know, he paid for things, you know, he wanted to do, and the amount of people he touched in a short period of time, you know, through football and through, you know, the Onslow County Corrections, you know, I couldn't be more proud. And we're still in the process. I'm finalizing his paperwork, but the Tyler Johnson Memorial Foundation is for kids who want to do sports and do outdoor activities, whether it's fishing, hunting, camping, so forth. You know, we're starting this for him. That way, those kids, we can give back to the community and give them a chance to find something they love, whether it's hunting, fishing, football, baseball. You know, if you need a pair of cleats, if your child needs a backpack, you know, by all means, reach out. You know, that's what I'm here for. That's what we want to do. But, you know, and we haven't come up with an official name, but I always keep referring to it as TJ's dream because he wanted to have a charter business. He wanted to do this. But, you know, the Onslow County Detention officers, you know, lost a great man. You know, February 10th of 2024, he was involved in a fatal head-on accident. And the individual did, you know, test for meth. Onslow County really did the best they could, but the state laws, and my wife, that's another thing we're doing. We're trying to get people to see that, you know, because whenever I see another family loses a child, you know, it touches home. You know, no parent should ever have to lose a child under any circumstances, let alone that of the negligence of somebody else that, you know, is, you know, under the influence. And with that being said, we've been writing, you know, my wife writes an email almost weekly to the state legislators. You know, this needs to change. You know, families need to be protected. You know, the fact that, you know, the state crime lab did test, you know, and meth came back and she served 15 days in jail. You know, that's hurtful, you know, and it's only a misdemeanor in the state of North Carolina to kill somebody with your vehicle. Now, under the influence of a drug or whatever, they have that. Alcohol, it's cut and dry. You know, congratulations, North Carolina, on that. That is one thing that they're moving ahead. But off of the negative aspect, you know, my son lived his life to the fullest, you know, and that's how he wanted this team to be, you know. And that year that he passed away, I didn't know if I was going to be able to return back to the football field. And it was rough. I took 2 weeks or whatever, and Coach Harris would check on me almost daily. You good, Coach? Hey, take all the time you need. When you're ready, we're here. And I'm like, yeah, I appreciate it, Coach, And the fact that I can still walk out on that football field and feel like I'm right next to him and I can carry this jersey, and know that 51 is stepping on the field, I'm on the sideline, and he and I we're still making a difference, and that's what it means to me. Tyler Michael he was a headache, but he was a blessing at the same time because the things he did for people behind the scenes, the giving them money, talking his friends out of suicide. He has a really good friend, Ashley. He has, I believe it's Down East shirts or something. It's just, I'll have to let you guys know, but I don't remember. But him and Ashley have been friends for so long, and Ashley started a clothing company, and he actually, said that, him and Tyler came up with this, and he puts LLTJ, hashtag LLTJ on some of the stuff, and long live Tyler Johnson. And that means a lot to me. But the biggest thing with him is, like I said, I always promised him, we're always going to, do better, and I want to be better, and I'm going to continue to give back to the kids to make sure they have a chance.
That's awesome. Coach, what do you think? Tyler was watching you, man, last year on the championship game. What do you think he thought, man?
He thought, Dad, you need to bring these rings home. He said, Dad, thank you for the championship. But you know what? The most thing that he probably thought was, thank you for just, sticking with it, because if it hadn't been for him, gentlemen, like I said, that's a dark place to be in. It really is. In football, and him being, just being out there with that brotherhood, like I said, the other guys, the players, and it's more than football for me. I've reached out to players, I went to their houses, I went to pick them up, whatever I need to do to try to make you be a success or try to get ahead. I've sent players to the XFL tryouts. I've driven players to Florida for showcases. Q Horton, he plays professional arena football. He gets paid, played for the Carolina Kings, helped him to get there, film, So when it comes to, the Carolina Kings, I want people to look at it as more than just football, but like as a family organization that I'm willing to go above and beyond and do what you need me to do. If you call me, I'm going to be there. And the same with the community. If you need the Kings to be there, we will absolutely show up and do whatever you need us to do.
Like we assist helping up Northside out. Just
yes,
we're the chain crew at Northside. Y'all didn't know that or not. They would never know they had national championship coaches. Just you don't say nothing. Just
And Coach, if you don't mind, I know you said you considering you didn't want to be on the football field for a while, but this family that you have with the Carolina Kings, that was your outlet.
Yes, that was my comfort zone, and it still is. Like I said, I say, and like Coach Harris all the time says, Coach, they need you, and it's not so much as that they need me, but I truly need them. That is the truth of the matter, because it gives me purpose. I have a reason to, show up and show out and give the best of myself as you give the best of yourself. So, and like I said, however long, we're around, I'm going to continue to give the best of myself and, just continue to, have it grow into something beautiful.
So you got families watching you guys play when you guys play out at Steed Park. You got some young boys. Let's be honest, 8, 9, 10-year-old boys watching you guys. They may be dreaming about getting out there. I mean, obviously they're dreaming of playing football in high school, but they may be dreaming of playing for the Carolina Kings. What do you think, and what do you want these young people to know when they look at the Carolina Kings?
So at the championship game, we won. Tilly's son, who plays at Dixon, wanted everyone's autograph. And I signed the shirt. But I was like, listen, you can have anyone sign the shirt, but your dad just sent a proper example of how to play winning football. And Dixon had an incredible year this year. But how awesome is it as a young man where you see your dad like making tackles for a loss? But at the same time, if he says clean the room up, you will, though, because he's hitting like that too, though. But like I said, football is an escape for all of us.
Yeah.
And like you played back in the day, you played. We have like a couple of on-field stories that was funny, but like off the field, you probably had 10 times as many stories of.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, the off-field memories that you that probably mean a little bit more.
Yeah, and it's still
Sure.
it gets brought up first before how many points you put up, but you remember that time we went out and you know what I mean? You'll hear those stories though.
And we want the kids to be better. Like I said, semi-pro is a good outlet, but he encourages kids, don't get stuck in a comfortable rut. Like I said, if you're good enough, and like I said, and we all know, all of us aren't meant to be at a collegiate level. All of us are not meant to be at a professional level. But there are those few players in semi-pro that have an opportunity to be so much better. I want the kids to look at us as, big brothers, and, if you want to ask questions, be an inspiration. But, at the end of the day, I want the kids to be inspired to do the best you can in school, get the good grades, be at the top of the list, sit at the front of the class, don't be ashamed to be the best of everything, no matter what anybody says to you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you happen to fall short of being recruited by a college, come see me. Mm-hmm. I'll put together a film. I'll help you the best I can to make sure you can try to achieve your goal. It may not be a D1 school like you think, but it'll be a beginning. And we all know there has to be a beginning to every end. Mm-hmm. So it has to be.
So 3-4 years in, what's the thing you gentlemen are most proud about this project?
Boy.
And what's still left to build? Where'd y'all go from here?
So you talked about the Raiders, and how long ago was that? Early 2000s.
Yeah,
that they left a legacy. Now I think that's something that the Kings should strive to. Like,
absolutely.
hey, I want you guys to talk about the Kings as y'all talk about the Raiders or what is it?
Facts.
The
Rebels.
Like
yeah, like I said, that's one thing. When someone says that, I want them to go, you know what? Yeah, they were league champs. But I don't want them just to look at us as champs. I want them to see that they gave back to the community. They were involved, They sent people, oh, yeah, didn't have that one player who played in college or that one player that went here, just something that, leaves a positive impact, and that's anybody, we always want to do something that leaves a positive impact that people are going to remember us by. And, as far as my most memorable moment, I would have to say, the AFF championship, our undefeated season, it was just like the dream season, like a lot of teams have that, that was my dream season, and it couldn't have happened at a better time for myself because I needed that, I needed to see, the men just kept saying, hey, we're going to do this, coach. And everything they said, they put it out there, and that brotherhood, just watching them play. I enjoy watching them go out compete, so athletic, talented, I could sit here and name the entire roster of men that, mean, a lot to me. But at the end of the day, I'm thankful for, Drew and Keem, those are, I consider those my boys, Anthony Harris. Those three have really helped me through a lot of this. But going forward from here, the Kings are going to continue to, reach out to the community and let people know we're here. I do fundraisers throughout the year to, the fall. We're a spring team. So in the fall, I do like little fundraisers, stuff to try to help fund the season. Myself, Drew, and Keem, we do come out of our pocket quite a bit. But, I want to make sure the men are able to play. They want to make sure the men are able to play. So to me, it's worth it. Is it costly? Absolutely. But, I would do it over and over again.
So let's go there. Last question. If someone in our community is watching right now, whether it's a player, a volunteer, or a business that wants to get involved, what's the best way to connect with you guys?
You can reach out to me directly. You can call me at 910-358-5349. I'll discuss anything with you. I'm going to read this here. You can reach out to my email. It's Carolina Kings Football 22@gmail.com. And like I said, you can go to our website, www.carolinakingsfootball.com.
You got your business cards.
And I got business cards. So if you see me out in public, whoever just ask me, I always have a couple. Coach Harris will make, he say, hey, you got your business cards? Always.
Always network.
And like I said, or just reach out to me on Facebook. You know, I'm easy to get a hold of. And like I said, anybody who wants to donate or any businesses, any little bit helps. We do stuff, like I said, I'm trying to get together this year. We're going to try to do a back to school giveaway. We're going to be involved with the youth football camps at Trexler again when they start. All these extra things, you know, it does cost. And like I said, a lot of people, the misconception with adult semi-pro football, the first thing when you say adult, that kind of shuts people down. But, you know, I want people to know that, you know, some of these young men, you know, they do come from bad backgrounds, but they have made a difference. Some of them, you know, did do foolish things. There are supervisors at Bosch, you know, making a difference. You know, they're not in the streets anymore. They use football as an outlet. You know, they work to pay their bills. They're not just, you know, this. Fathers, you know, that single fathers that come to do this. So, you know, people should be like, I don't want to say be easy with it, but, you know, understand where everyone's coming from. We all come from certain things. We all have, you know, problems. We all have a hard past. But at the end of the day, you know, we have a choice to be better, and we've chose to be better. Mm-hmm. And on this team, every man that's here, we choose to be better. And I'm hoping that the public will see that if you need us, we're here. Come out, support us, watch us. If you want to come play for us, hey, come on out. I encourage anybody to come out because we have a great time. We do cookouts, you know, barbecues at my house. We're a family.
That's great.
So, Steve, you still have some years you can play, don't you?
Man, I got a bad knee, brother. But if I did, I'm kind of getting excited listening to Coach Jay talk. Man, he's in. Coach Will's into it, but Coach Jay is.
I'm a mean coach, bro. I don't play that.
He is a leader of men. I tell you that.
I will say this though: we still reminisce, and this is 20, 25 years. Years ago, we still reminisce about, hey, remember what this game or that game, and there's still a special place in our hearts with Raiders, and I know with Kings for you guys, this means a lot, and it is family.
And I thank you guys for setting the foundation, because without you guys back then, I mean, it wouldn't even be here. So, I mean, everything, like I said, everything has to have a beginning.
Yeah,
we're not at the end yet, so we're still getting it, but you know that it's the beginnings that make a difference. How you start. You know, we can keep building from there.
Coach P still think he got it with the arm, though. Like, you're not the athlete anymore, Coach. He still think he got it with the arm, though.
Well, Coach Will and Coach Jay, thank you guys so much.
Appreciate you guys having
Absolutely.
us so much.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time today to share with us what you guys are building here in our community. The Carolina Kings, they represent something that this community can be proud of, and that's both on the field, but it's off the field.
Yes, sir.
As well. So for more information, Coach mentioned it, for more information on the Carolina Kings, visit carolinakingsfootball.com. That's their website. Or you can find them on Facebook and just reach out and just learn more about them, support them. They're our local semi-pro football team now, and it's something that that we should embrace. So for the Down East Prep Report and co-host Chris Miller, I'm Steve Goodson. Thanks, everybody, for watching, and we'll be back with more things going on in Jack-Swansea County and our community with high school athletics and more. So stay tuned.